Hello, my name is Jessica Reed, and I'll be interviewing Ms. Gilbert. Today's date is December 10th, 2012, and she's my psychology teacher, so she'll be giving me her perspective on depression. Hello, Ms. Gilbert. Okay, so my first question for you is, main debate on whether depression is a state of mind or a mental illness. Can you please describe depression from your own professional opinion?
Based on what I've learned as I've gone through school and as I teach this class, my opinion is that depression starts out as a neurological disorder. There's a lot of research that supports lack of certain neurotransmitters, in particular serotonin, and a lot of the medicines that are used to treat depression work to keep serotonin in the synapse. So when you have a lot of biological research like that, certainly that's got to be one of the main factors for depression.
Okay, referring back to some theories I've researched, that cause is a dangerous word. Is it just a correlation between environmental stressors and chemical imbalance, or can environment actually trigger a chemical imbalance affecting the perception of how to handle a situation?
I think it's really a combination of both. I think because we know there's a lot of research that shows the genetic link, and you have the chemical issue with the chemical imbalance. But there are many people that will say that they go through an event and that triggers the depression. So I think really it's one of those things that's a case by case. You can't just say it's caused by this or that, but it's a combination of the environment working with genetics together.
Okay, and that goes to my next question. I read an article where reasons act as causes, and in the article it was explaining how many therapists, if they go through an environmental trauma such as losing a child, then that's the reason they may have depression. Do you support that theory?
I do, and I don't support it based on a textbook answer from what I've learned, and I didn't put this in my answers that I gave you for the written part of your paper, but from a personal note, when I was pregnant with my second child, my mother died very quickly and unexpectedly, and so I went through a depression at the end of my pregnancy a little bit, and once Emily Kate was born, it didn't really seem to go away, and so my doctor put me on antidepressants for about 6 months, I guess, just to kind of get through that hump, and then I was fine after that. She's 10 years old. I haven't taken them since then, but I did take them for about 6 months. So, was it related to hormone depletion, as women, once they give birth? Was it the death of my mother a mitigating factor? I don't know. There is a genetic link. My mother did suffer from mild depression, and so did my grandmother. So I think it's a combination of the three, and I don't think I ever really experienced it up to that point because I had never had an event like that, and really nothing like that since. So,
if you think that you didn't go through that type of traumatic event, do you think that you ever would have experienced depression that way?
Once again, this is just my personal opinion, but at my age at this point, I don't think I would have. I just feel like if there was really a push for that in my genetics, that it would have come out sometime before that.
So,
but I just think that triggered it, coupled with the pregnancy and the hormones up and down and brain chemistry. And my doctor seemed to, pretty much think the same thing. And like I said, we did the antidepressants for about 6 months, and then it was fine, and I just slowly got back off of them, and I haven't taken them.
So if you have a genetic disability or a chemical imbalance or something, even though that gives you a predisposition, you don't have to have depression.
I don't think so. I have 2 siblings, and neither one of them have ever had problems with depression. I have 2 children, and so far one's in college, one's younger, but neither one of them have, exhibited what the classic signs are of depression.
Let's see. It is believed public theories of depression are due to social media interpretation. How can one find out what's true or false?
I think you have to do a lot of research on it, and I think you have to be really careful about where the research is coming from, what perspective. Obviously, from a neuroscience perspective, the reason is going to be neurotransmitters. If you're looking at research that comes from people working from a cognitive perspective, they're going to say it's your thought processes and how you think about things makes you,
right,
more susceptible to depression. And then really the third one would be someone working from that behavioral perspective that you just kind of learn to adapt to your situations in that way. But I think most therapists in general work from a variety of perspectives, and it really is a case by case, but I would encourage anybody to do a lot of research and go see your doctor, and then if you don't like that answer, then go see another doctor, and get a second opinion on it.
Right, of course. I was going to ask, how much of an impact do you think that the media has said, if it's just a state of mind or showing a sign of weakness, do you think that inhibits a lot of people trying to come and seek help for depression?
I think it does. A while back there was an incident with Tom Cruise. I don't know if you remember that or you read that in your research, but it was years ago, within the last 10 years. Tom Cruise was being interviewed, I think it was on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and no, it wasn't. It was with Matt Lauer on Good Morning America, and he was talking about Brooke Shields, who had just come out. She's an actress, talking about her depression and the medication she had taken for it, and he just was very adamant that depression is a weakness and it's all in your mind and people don't need medication. And I think someone that looked at like that as a celebrity and that people follow what they say probably wouldn't go seek help if they thought, other people think like that. And there are people that think like that.
That's true.
The phrase "it's all in your head" is really accurate to a sense, especially if it's dealing with neurotransmitters.
True, but with all these, with all the evidence, as you had said before, do you believe that media can change what it's trying to say to society of what depression is?
I think so, and I think we have a lot more research every year, and there's more medications that come out, and it seems to be much more common and not a disorder to be ashamed of. People go through it, you can get help. It's a case-by-case issue as to what type of help you would need, whether it's just, in my case, was just dealing with, the neurotransmitters with the medicine, but sometimes you go through cognitive therapy, changing the way you think about things, or behavior therapy. But I think the media has way too much power in this country for a variety of things,
Yeah, I think anybody could agree with that.
Yeah.
So in conclusion to this interview, based on the questions, can you just go back and say what depression is?
I think it starts out as a disorder dealing with the chemical imbalance of the neurotransmitters in the brain. Some people might refer to that as a disease. The medical model actually does use that word a lot, and there's nothing wrong with that, because that then leads to the idea that you can treat it with medicine. I think traumatic events don't cause depression. I don't like that word "cause," but I think they can trigger something that you might possibly already be, susceptible to under the right conditions at the right time in your life.
So not cause, but more like a chain reaction.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
Okay, that's about it.
Okay.
So thank you so much
You're
for doing
welcome.
this interview with me.